Welcome to Bound by Books. I am Marianne Morea, and I am joined today by fellow author Hannah Byron. Today, Hannah and I are going to be just discussing things that affect not only just authors, but everybody, boundaries and burnout. I've been going through a lot in my life in the last 4 to 6 months, and Hannah has as well. So the group decided, tag, you're it. You guys are the ones who are going to talk about this difficult conversation, and let's begin. Hannah?
Yeah, thank you, Mary. I'm lovely to see you. I think when our products are finished, these lovely books that we put out and we just enjoy them most of the time, it seems like such a finished product, and nothing wrong with it. But
We hope.
the path to get to that might be very bumpy, the
Yeah.
road to actually get that. And yeah, it's very hard when life interferes and you can't finish your book, or you are struggling to get into a new book, and then life intervenes. So yeah, Marianne, can you lift just a tiny bit of the veil, not too personally, but what has derailed you, so to say, these last couple of months?
Well, there's been a whole bunch of things going on in my life. I had a cancer scare, um, over the summer that I didn't end up getting a result back until October. It began at the end of August, around the third week of August when I found the lump. Um, and by the time I was able to get a doc to say, yes, you need to see a breast surgeon, it was the end of September. And then by the time they did the biopsy and everything that went along with that, it was the first week of October before I got an all clear, but we're going to watch it response. So, tentative exhale for that, tentative exhale. Um, the other thing is I'm moving, and anybody who's ever had to pack up a house that you've lived in for more than a day. I mean, in my case, it was 16 years in one place. So packing up 16 years of my life and having to move it is a feat in itself. But having to go from your home to a temporary place while you're waiting for your other place to be ready, is making you a displaced person. It really disrupts your life. It disrupts your flow. You don't have a place of your own where you can feel comfortable, where you can actually write where we are right now. It's very everybody's in each other's pockets, so it's a little hard to find a spot. I mean, I have this background behind me of New York, of gorgeous New York City, but I'm actually sitting in my bedroom because there's no
Yeah,
other place for me to do this. So
yeah.
anyway, those are just a few little things that have derailed my writing, and my creative flow over the course of the last 4 months. Actually, yeah, about 4.5 months, almost 5 months. So I'm looking forward to getting back into it because there's light at the end of the tunnel that the move is going to be completed this week. And once I set up my office, do you remember that movie, Under the Tuscan Sun? With
Yeah,
Diane
yeah.
Lane. There's one line that she says, whenever you're in a new place, go through it and be kind, be gentle, be kind, get to know yourself, get to know the place, and make one room your own. And that's what I plan to do when I move into my own house, is that my new house is that I'm going to make my office. And that's the first thing I'm going to do, even before I unpack my kitchen. So what about
Yeah.
what about you,
So,
Hannah?
yeah. I have a follow-up question on that, because that is the outer skin of what happens in your life. But how does it affect you? Do you feel like um, restless because you can't write, because the creativity flows anyway? I mean, it is distorted. But how does it make you feel to be unable to write?
It's draining. I have my kids laugh and they call me stressy depressy because I am stressed, but at the same time I'm depressed because there's no creative outlet. If I didn't have this podcast and our weekly marketing meeting to do every week, I think I probably would have turned into Jabba the Hutt, sitting on the couch,
Yeah,
binge watching Netflix and eating,
yeah,
with a bag of potato chips attached to my
yeah,
mouth. You know, it's very, very depressing, because
yeah.
the creative flow still hits. I still wake up in the middle of the night. I still have a notepad next to my bed where I'm scribbling ideas, and my characters they're kind of in a stasis right now, almost like
Yeah,
like they're in sleep pods on a spaceship somewhere, waiting for me to wake them up and say, okay, guys, back to work. It's
yeah,
it's very
yeah,
it
yeah,
it also screws with your self-worth. I don't know if anybody who has whatever job, whether you're a teacher or a nurse, or even if you're just in business and you're sitting behind a desk with a computer, you your job gives meaning to your life, and it gives meaning to your identity. So when you're removed from that, yeah, it's a little bit of a lark for and a holiday at first,
yeah,
but after that it's like it really
yeah,
messes with your head that, okay, who am I now? So
yeah.
you
I
know
think it is. I would compare it like an athlete who breaks his or her leg. That you still want, the mindset is still there, but you can't move. So
yeah.
like, but you even had to cancel a pre-order, didn't you?
I did. Yes, I had to cancel a pre-order simply because of, well, there were two reasons. One, because there was no way I was going to be able to get it done with the cancer scare, because that was when it was coming to fruition. And the other was when I had my laptop crash right before I got the cancer scare. So that was another thing that was on top of everything. So, and
Yeah,
it's different than burnout, because burnout, when you have writer's block and you can't write because the problem is coming not from without, but from within. I think I think burnout, when you have been writing for so long, so hard, that like the faucet is on, it's almost like a fire hose, and then all of a sudden the fire hose gets turned off and there's nothing but drops coming out of it.
yeah,
It's very disconcerting, and I think I would rather deal with the external things that are being thrown at me by the universe, just life messing with me, than having to deal with having my own creative muse be the one that's messing with the creative process, and
yeah,
having it be blocked off.
yeah.
I actually, before all of this happened, I was at a convention over the summer, and there were a couple of authors who were, they're high profile authors who did a talk about the creative process, and one gal actually said she doesn't believe in writer's block. She thinks
Mm,
it's BS. That
mm.
she thinks that it's that you have to just keep your eye on the prize, and that this is your job and you have to make money and you just do it anyway. Well, you know, unless you're writing in a formula, that's not always easy to do, you know?
Well, there are so many different people, many different strengths, and some people don't understand that. But just one word of warning: I can imagine that you envision your office, and you envision yourself sitting there and creating again. But it be gentle on yourself even then, because it might be that then writer's block sort of comes to the forefront, because you want so much, and with so much energy wanting to come out, and it gets blocked there. I don't say it happens, but there is a possibility of longing so much for it, that I don't know, that is different for everyone as well, but that might happen to me, that I put everything on it. Oh, now it can happen, and then nothing comes, or something like that.
What about you? What's going on in your life? What is the
Yeah, well,
what are the
yeah.
universe throwing at you that is messing with your boundaries?
Well, I think for me, it was more in the past. I am currently sitting in my office. My office was my daughter's bedroom. It is the smallest room in the house, because when I bought a house that same year, she went to university, so she only came back for the holiday. So she hasn't really slept in this room, but I had it, decorated, and it had her furniture. So I think, and of course, sadly my daughter passed away 7 years ago. So sitting in this office every day is very special for me. It is the place where I'm closest to her, so to say, in this house. Um, and it gives me peace, because that was definitely a period that I was completely thrown off writing, and when she's been ill, she was ill for 2 years. So that was my most devastating time in my life, in my writing career. But yeah, at the moment, I just bless every day that there isn't much external pressure on me, apart from that I still have a day job, and I did get overworked there a couple of months ago, so I'm sort of struggling to the end of that, and getting to my retirement, which is in a little over a year. So that is still very heavy on me. But the thing that is difficult for me with writing is that when I finish the book, so I did I finished the book at the end of October, and I always want to dive immediately into the next one, and I can't. I need at least a month for that old main character, former male character, to sort of fade to the background, and the new main character comes to the forefront. I get to know her, because I write only women, female characters. So that is a slow process, and that is something that I can't really deal with very much, because I want to go on and I want to but she takes her time presenting herself to me.
There are plenty of times when characters take their time presenting themselves.
You have that as well.
I do. And the times when that is the most difficult is when I'm writing 2 books at once, which I will be doing once again very shortly, because the book that I had to cancel the pre-order needs to, it's got cobwebs on it right now, so it needs to be refreshed. And the one that my laptop crashed that I lost, there are people who are waiting for that book as well. So, and I have to say, I have the best readers. To all of you out there, I have the best readers. Everybody has been so patient and so understanding, because a lot of people had pre-ordered the book in paperback and were expecting it at the last convention that I had gone to, and because of circumstance, it just didn't happen. And I asked them if they wanted a refund, and they said, no, it's worth it. We'll wait for it. And I love the fact that they did that. I'm very willing to give them their money back if they want it, but they said they would rather have the book, and that it would be worth waiting for. So of course, because they've been, this is where, when you talk about boundaries, but it can also apply to between readers and authors, that you have to set up a boundary, but I find that a lot of times my super readers, the ones that have been with me from the very beginning, the ones who have me on one click, that they're one clickers, that as soon as something comes up of mine, they automatically buy it. Those are the readers who have pre-ordered this book, who are being the ones that are so amazing about waiting for it. They will get extra stuff when that stuff comes. I will stuff those envelopes full of extra stuff when the time comes.
I have a question on that. So how do we, so you in the first place, communicate difficulties to our readers? What do we share with them, and how do you reach them?
Multiple ways, because you can't just rely on one avenue. My newsletter, I usually share a lot of not in-depth personal stuff, but the last newsletter, when I finally did write one again, I started the subject line was, so good news, it's not cancer. And the open rates for that were incredible, because people were interested. Even people who are not my super readers, who are just my casual readers, were interested. And I shared a hell of a lot more personal information in that than I normally did.
Was that deliberate?
Yes, it was deliberate. I did it because number one, people had been wondering if I had fallen off the face of the planet, because all of a sudden I had gone missing in action. But it was an explanation for them because they deserve it. They're my
Yeah,
fans,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
they
I
have,
agree.
they allow me to do the job that I love.
Yeah.
So they were deserving of an explanation, at least
Mm.
one explanation. So that is through my newsletter, then also in my reader group. And also I have in some of the groups that where if a convention is happening or a convention has wound down, a lot of times the groups that are affiliated with those conventions will stay, will stay live for a little while. I have done Facebook Live in there, and I have recorded something or just put up a post, a long post for people to see, so that I have reached most of them. But the
Yeah.
people who pre-ordered the book, I had their information. I had their email information, so
Oh
I was
yeah.
able to tag them personally to let them know through private messaging what was going on with me. I think as an author, you have to try and reach your readership any way that you can when something happens. You know, when the shit hits
Yeah.
the fan and it affects them, you need to
Yeah.
to
But
exhaust
did
every avenue
yeah.
that you have.
Did you put up something on your website as well, or?
I did not, I did not, because
Yeah, it's just in my mind now. That would be an idea
I
if
guess I
something happens.
I
Yeah,
guess I could have, but my newsletter is people who have actually consciously given me their email
yeah,
address and
yeah,
are requesting for me to
yeah,
communicate with them.
yeah,
And my website, it's out there in the ether, and anybody and their brother
yeah.
could
But
look me up.
did you have the pre-order up
The
on the
pre
website?
No,
On your website? Oh,
no.
okay,
The
okay,
pre-order was an Amazon pre-order. And then
yeah,
the pre-order for the convention was done specifically with a Google Doc for that convention. So that's how I had
yeah.
everybody's
No,
email
but I
address.
mean, I have on my website, I have my books, and I have a click to Amazon, and I have to be really aware that if I change a pre-order, that I check that it is still, the right link and stuff like that.
No,
But,
I know links on websites are
yeah,
something that needs to be
yeah,
maintained, and I have been very remiss on that. So,
yeah,
but what about you? Tell me what's going on with you. Boundaries and burnout.
yeah, yeah.
You're
Well,
really chugging along. Your success is skyrocketing, and I'm so proud of you.
well, yeah, I didn't expect it. I'm really still getting to grips with it, but it also puts the pressure on you, and yeah. So as I said, I haven't been writing really a lot in November. I've been plotting my new book, and I'm waiting on the edit from my editor for the book that comes out on 8th of February, the Norwegian Assessment. So this is a new editor for me. It's a developmental edit, so I'm really like, oh, what is she going to say? Maybe she doesn't like the book at all. So and yeah, so I must say that so I came back in 2020 after my ordeal of years not being able to write, and I must say that when I started out, I was way too ambitious. I thought I could write many more books than I could. I could never do what you do, like 2 projects at the same time. I would love to, because I'm going to bring out my debut novel next year, and I want to have some follow-up books on that. I have a new pen name, but I can't do 2 projects at the same time. So yeah, but I do feel that when there is a pressure of a pre-order, or a book has to go to the editor, that I might be on the boundaries of burnout, because there is so much research to do for my books, and I think, oh, I can't make the deadline, and I get pretty stressed. The thing is, I still feel it like a healthy stress. I still feel it okay, then the book gets done. I know you have that in May, that you just go into your writing cave. When you have that opportunity, it's still like you're drained at the end of the day. You're very tired, but it gives more satisfaction that the job gets done.
It's a
Whereas
good
now,
tired. It's a good type of
yeah,
tired.
because now in November I haven't written, and then it's NaNoWriMo, so there are loads of authors getting to 50K words in a month, and they're all fired up, and I'm just sort of not writing. And like you, I found out that I'm not in my best mental state when I don't write. I know that my brain needs a break between the characters, as I said, but there is something very pushy inside of me that wants to get the job done, to get the 200, 2,000 or 3,000 words on the page every day, because that's what we do. But I'm if things stay, we never know what happens in life, but if life stays like it is at the moment for me, I can see writing my books at a slow pace, 2, 3 a year. I don't think more, because there is so much other stuff to do around it as well. You know that. I mean, and we always do courses, and we do this and we do the other. So yeah, I'm looking to you and thinking, oh my goodness, I just hope for you to have things calming down, because it is such a good feeling to actually be in calmer waters,
Yeah. And actually, when you're in the writing cage, it is a calming place, even though there's chaos going on inside your head. And it's there's this in another world enacting in your head. It's a calm place because you're either immersed or observing, and because you and I have had that conversation. But it's a place of your own making. So you kind of you think you're in control, but you're not. Your characters are in control. I mean, when I'm going to be having a podcast with Danielle Bannister shortly, where she and I both talk about writing 2 books. We will talk about writing 2 books at the same time. It's the only thing I can tell you. It's like if that analogy that I made earlier, that it's like your characters are in stasis, and then you wake them up. But when you're when you have writer's block, or when life is messing with you, they have to kind of go into that stasis. But when you're writing 2 books at the same time, it's like being a pre-K teacher, and having the kids, running around, and you're trying to corral them, and say, and have one of them, one set of them playing with the glue and the paste, and you have the other ones coloring, and the other ones, and you have to, and they're like, miss, when they're trying to get, in touch with the, trying to get the teacher's attention, and you have to put them in timeout. And that's exactly what I do with my characters. I'm like, I'm sorry, today is not your day. You need to stay in the corner. Turn around, face the corner. Unless you want me to kill you, go sit down and go sit in the corner, because I will rewrite the script and you will die. So
I have another question for you around this this whole thing of life messing with your life, with your work. Do you have any plan in place in case things happen to you?
Yes. In fact, we were just talking about this in a clubhouse chat a couple of weeks ago. I have all of my information about my ads, and where books are uploaded, and all my passwords and everything, in a specific spot that my children and my husband are aware of, so that if God forbid something happens to me, they can go in and they can either unpublish my books or keep them up and then manage them that way. They won't be able to do the ads unless they hire somebody, but they are aware of where things are. In terms of unfinished works in progress, years and years ago, I actually had a relationship with a fellow author who wrote similarly to me. And we had made a pact that if God forbid something happened to us, we would finish each other's works in progress. And, we would do, we would market it as such, as a posthumous work by so-and-so, and that both of our names would be on it, because it would be her work and my work, and then vice versa, my work and her work. But she and I have had a falling out since then, and I don't have anybody that I would trust to finish my work. What about you?
Yeah, well, that's why I thought it fitted this topic as well. It's the other side of it. Well, I was made aware of this. I was in that same clubhouse room, and actually the person who brought it up has done a specific hour, and she's going to create a checklist of all the things that you have to do or could do to have also like setting up a trust or anything. I'm just in the initial stages of it. I've discussed it with my children because I don't have a partner. The thing is that for me, it is what I have realized is that I would like my books to still be available after I pass away. I hope they will stand the test of time. I hope they would still bring in an income for my children. So I would definitely want to take the steps to make sure that everything can continue after I pass away. About unfinished projects, I'm not there yet. That is another thing to think about. But first and foremost, so I've discussed it, and my youngest son has said, okay, Mum, I realize that this is not just important for you, but this might be important for us as well. I mean, even if they could have like 200 or 300 euros per month coming out of my work, that is a nice income. You know, it is a waste not to have that.
Yeah.
And so I will definitely take, but I'll do it slowly. I want to I think it is legally different because I'm in Europe, legally different from the States. But I'm thinking about setting up a trust and having trustees. But what I would love is to find a very, very trustworthy assistant who will, manage the ads and stuff like that. Because I don't see my children, or at least that he or she could teach my children if they wanted to do it, to do all the stuff. But I mean, we're on so many platforms. So I do all my passwords in LastPass. Do you do that as well?
No, I do not. I the only time I've ever used LastPass is when I had that gal from Scotland take a look at my ads, and I had to put it in there for her to look at it. But no.
Yeah, since then, I know who you're talking about. So since then, I put if it is Sarah. Like Books Funnel or Spader Life, if I get a request to put that password in there, I put it in there, so I know they're all there. Just the professional things, but so I would love to have that checklist, certain steps, because that checklist would also help my trustees to actually manage it. So this is an important step, but I must say I haven't done everything yet.
Well, I mean, I didn't after my laptop crashed because of ransomware. It was the malware, and ever since that I'm like, no, I don't want anything. I don't want my passwords in any way, shape, or form out in the atmosphere for somebody to be able to find one spot with everything there. I know it's encrypted and so forth, but my trust level with cyber thieves is very low. I don't have much trust in things when it comes to that.
I think it's still wise to regularly change them.
Yes, of course it is. I mean, there are people who have one password for everything, and I think that's a little crazy. But some people don't have the time to have multiples. So
there are different levels. I mean, you could also not. I mean, it's also possible to get incapacitated or something. That it's not just that you're not here anymore, but that there is a situation where you can't meet your promises, say. So hopefully that won't happen. But it's daunting.
Yeah. And it sometimes it smacks you in the face too, not to get too morbid, but there was a super reader of mine. Her name was Elizabeth Hyatt. She was a lovely, lovely, lovely woman, career reader. She would read 2 books a day, at least 2 books a day. And I met her at 2 conferences this past summer, before the shit hit the fan in my life. And she had a wagon behind her. She must have bought $4,000 worth of books. She bought every single book that I had at the convention. She bought in paperback. And I was throwing gifts at her. I was like, take a water bottle, take a t-shirt, take a, because of the fact that she was just like, looked at my stuff and she goes, okay, I'll take one of everything. And I was like, excuse me? And she goes, yes, I'll take one of everything. I've read a couple of your books. I love your work. I want one of everything. So, and then she passed away, like, completely unexpectedly. And she was really not much older than me or you. And so it was kind of a reality check that things could happen, unexpectedly. You just never know.
Yeah, and the thing is that our work as indie authors is complex. It is not generally understood what we do. So it is very important to have like a good plan that people know what to do. And I will definitely create it in 2022.
Yeah.
But I'm doing it in slow steps, and I want to talk to somebody here in Holland who can help me say, well, go about it in this way. That is the most secure way. But for 2 reasons. So one, that everything is guaranteed, that there are no loopholes or anything. On the other hand, this really wish of me, that would be my dying wish, that my books are still out there and available.
Yeah.
So,
the fact that you and I are both indie authors makes that control factor a little bit more possible, because we don't have to deal with the publisher having rights to our books and then deciding what they want or don't want us to do. And it also affords us with the ability to, have somebody carry on for us if we want it. Going forward. So boundaries and burnout. There's so many different facets of it. And, whether it's life, hitting you externally, or if it's your own creative muse that is causing you, all kinds of ill and issue, it happens. It happens to everybody. I mean, I have some friends of mine who are nurses who have reached ultimate burnout with the COVID situation. And, they need, I often wonder what other people do to just give themselves a mental break when they reach that level of burnout. I mean, you said you take a month to let one character fade, and then another.
And I also walk a lot. I go outside. I meditate. So these are things that I do when I feel that the stress levels are too high. I work out. So I have my day. For me, I don't know for you, but for me, a day, that is because I'm so old now. A daily routine is so important to me. So I do the same things. I'm very boring, but I do the same things. And if I have like more than 2 meetings or appointments in one day, I feel restless because it interferes with not being able to sit at the computer and write.
Routine is important too, because I had a routine as well. I would get up in the morning and I would sit at my desk in my office by 9 a.m. like as if I was going to work, because I am going to work, but even though it was in my own office, in my own home, I would do whatever I needed to do ahead of time, the same way I would if I was running to catch the train into New York City to, to go to a day job. I would load my dishwasher and put it on and put a load of wash on and then move it into the dryer before I would, jump in the shower and then get ready for work and then make myself a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, depending on what I felt like, and then sit at my desk and pull up my latest whip, or if it was a marketing day, pull up my marketing, check my stats and so forth. Every morning I would check before that, actually, I would check my stats. I would check my email, look at my social media to see if it was anything that I needed to answer, or if anybody had reached out to me, whether it was personal message or email. And then after that, it was writing time. And then I would write until when my children were younger till they came home off the bus, and then I would get them their snack or what have you. Or, when they would come home, my office was right there in the front of the house. They waved to me, and if my doors were shut, they were glass doors. If my doors were shut, they knew very, very well not to bother me, that I was in the middle of a deadline, and actually had a chalkboard that I would put in front of my desk that faced out that said on deadline, so that they would know not to bother me. But and then I would stop writing at a specific time, so that I had time with my family, and I don't know, do you write on the weekends?
I write. I don't have any days off. No.
Yeah, I do. I take time off. I finish. I will stop writing by 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon so that I can spend time with my family, and then we make dinner and so forth. And then after everything is complete, I would either go back to writing, or I would have some time just alone, just to kind of wind down with my journal and to think about what's going on for the next day. Maybe pen and ink outline what I wanted to write the next day. But I write on Saturday mornings, but that's it. I don't do any. I don't do any more.
But it's different for you because you have a family around you. I live on my own. And it is the one danger for me to head towards burnout, because I love working hard. Working hard is all my life I love to go to the max with working hard in everything I do. So that is a danger. I work from when I get up until not just writing, but all the marketing thing doing cool. I even call my walk and my workout. Everything is just geared to being in my most perfect state. But that is a danger. And sometimes my children say to me, "Mom, you should take a day off," but I don't.
Yeah, I take Sundays off. Unless I'm by myself. If I'm completely by myself, if my husband's gone fishing, or my children are older now, so they're all over the place with their friends and their own lives. But if I'm by myself, then I will take a little bit of time off, but then I always end up gravitating into my office to do something. But I have to make sure that I take time to spend time with them, because otherwise, if I don't, then they're really going to be gone. And then I won't have, because right now I have the luxury of them being home part of the time, because they're away at college. But I want to spend as much time with them as possible. But now when we move into this new house, I'm going to be in kind of the similar world with you, where you are.
You still have a husband.
Yeah, I do, but he's very busy, and
so just see how it. I mean, I see myself like one of these scholars, all day I'm in or one of these monks, all day I'm in this routine. I'm just doing one thing after the other, and I'm always studying something. I'm just and if nobody bothers me, fine. I'm just fine. I'm doing my own stuff, and I will be very eccentric when I'm
eccentric. Oh, I guess for me, I almost feel like this is me I've been in my own stasis, like a cocoon, with everything that life is throwing at me. Maybe that, like everybody always says, the universe has a reason for doing things. And maybe this is part of it, because, my youngest daughter went to college right after we sold the house at the end of August. And then everything happened with the cancer scare and everything. So, and being displaced and having to be in a temporary place until the new house is ready. And maybe it's because I'm going to be, not even so much that, but it's that I'm going into a new phase in my life where I'm going to be more or less an empty nester. And I have to learn how, maybe this is getting me ready to dive into that new life.
Yeah, well, that's what I'd say. That I think I started off saying that I'm so thankful. I feel blessed with my monk life. I feel blessed with it, because I brought up 3 children on my own, so I know what it is to be constantly interrupted, and I have to bring in the money as well so this is a blessing to me. These years that I can just do my own thing is just I indulge in it, but I can indulge in it too much, to the extent that I think, oh no, I don't want to have an appointment today, I just don't want to, but I should see friends and family and stuff like that.
Well, I'm going to hold your feet to the fire come next June when when you and I are finally going to meet in person in Italy for a writer's retreat.
If it happens, because I haven't seen
fingers crossed that it happens. So anyway, boundaries and burnout. Not a fun topic, but at the same time, it's a necessary topic because it affects everybody in one way, shape, or another. So, do you have anything else you would like to add?
Yeah, I think that being squeezed by life and to shrink, and to not being able to do the things that you can. As I said, if you can expand again, it's such a great feeling. So you're so thankful then for being able to do that. So after rain comes sunshine. That will be my open door.
Yep. Me too. I'm actually really, I'm jonesing for this. I cannot wait to get back into my own space so that I can get back into my own head and greet my characters because, I miss them. I miss them,
and they miss you.
So we sound like crazy people, but it's true. I miss them. Thank you for spending time with us today. This is Bound by Books, and you can find out more about us and the other authors that participate at boundbybookspodcast.com. And tune in every Monday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for sharing our time with us, Hannah.
Bye, and join us again next week with a new duo. Bye-bye.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.
Wait! Before you go, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and check us out on our website, boundbybookspodcast.com.